All right, thank you first of all for coming, for attending to Digital Dragons, also for coming specifically for my talk. My name is Michal, so who I am, what I do, why I do it. So I do it because I am a very chaotic talker, so these notes will help me, and I think it's also clear. So I'm a concept artist, illustrator, educator, and we also set up the first concept art school last year, me and Darek Zabrodsky, very important I mention him. And don't worry, it's not going to be a commercial about my school. Conrad was very specific. If I mention the school more than 3 times, he will drag me from the stage. So it's very hard to refuse an offer like that. No, I'm just kidding. I will not do that. But it's still worth mentioning it, since education is my passion. However, today I want to talk about something else, something that is a little bit like, I never hear people talking about it, even though there seems to be a myth about freelancers and a myth about regular concept artists that work in a studio. I'm sorry, I should not say regular, because there are differences that are not dictating who is where at what status. First of all, you might not know me. How I recognize people is through their works. So here will be some samples. What I do as a concept designer. For me, concept design is visual communication of ideas. In the end, people will want to hire you, people want to work with you if your ideas are good. Right now, we are at a very mature state of our industry, I believe. And so I think the days of like crazy-ass, unique designs is maybe over. I think it's very important that you still experiment. But, by the way, I like interaction. So first of all, sorry again, see it as me being chaotic. Who is here already a concept artist? Please lift up your hand. All right. Who wants to be a concept artist? Cool. And who is here that never heard of concept art? You just like came here for video games and that's it. All right, so we have a good direction here. That's nice, thank you. How I see concept art is the baseline is your ideas need to be attractive visually, right? And that is where it comes in, that is the place where, you know, quality versus quantity comes in. What I find, you know, let's like bust the first myth, is that when you are starting as a concept designer, and you look at the websites, you know, ArtStation, by the way, beautiful website where you can see, like, you know, what is going on in industry. However, I think the misguidance there, the first misguidance there is the amount of pretty pictures, right? Most of them characters as well. And if you like concept art, it should be more about, you know, being able to develop the ability in order to have a fast communicating way of sketching. I think fundamentals are, for that reason, very important. I think the previous speaker, Mr. Wojtunik, said it very nicely. He likes drawing, but I think that drawing, that fundamental skill, is still very much needed. When we work at students and we sharpen those skills up, it is very, very visible how they're able to quickly pick up other skills, like 3D, like rendering, like illustrations. Right? So first of all, it's always fast ideas. Now here are some samples of like some speed paint. So this is Winterfell. Who is a Game of Thrones fan? Yeah. So because also we don't have that much time, I will have to zip this presentation too, just like season 8. But other than that, beautiful TV. My favorite still. This is some Skyrim fan art. This is a design from a while ago for a video game, an indie video game. Very ambitious project, enjoyed it a lot. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened to Project Tanketta, so that sometimes happens. This is my personal project. So you can see that I like doing vehicle designs in a variation of style. So again, freelance or in-house, you know, I'm showing these to like let you know how I see concept art, being able to pick certain from the world and revise that, redirect that, and represent that, basically, right? I'm not saying that specializing is wrong, because in the end I'm specializing too. However, if you're a starting concept artist, stay grounded, draw a lot, and be curious about the world, right? If you have, ask yourself a question, oh, I want to be a concept artist, but I have no idea what to draw about, you might ask yourself then if that is the job that you actually want to have. I'm sorry, I'm being very honest. In the end, our world is full of creative references that you can just digest, you can make studies of, try your own designs. Like, for example, here, some client work where I needed to mix a car from the 40s, rocket technology, and sports, right? So trying, to nail down a visual, believable style for that was challenging. It consisted of a whole process of fast sketches, more detailed line drawings, and of course the final rendering to present the idea, right? And it was a compilation of more works. When you look back, it's like pretty colorful, almost like cartoony. Anyway, so let's set, the two stages, right? Because when you're going to work as a freelancer or in-house, you always have to do with two parties, right? You as a professional artist and the company or the client, basically. So let's put a very simple equation here that is actually logic, but where sometimes we forget about it. Please silence your phone, thank you. Companies and studios seek demand and skill from professionals. Very important to remember that when you're an artist. Please remember that, yes, you should respect companies for what they do, what they deliver. Yes, I understand that you want to work for an IP, like, I don't know, The Witcher, Assassin's Creed. We've all been there, and I've been there too. However, don't forget that your demand should be needed, and you should not smear yourself in, basically, all right? But it also goes the other way around. Never be arrogant as well, all right? Just do good work. Professionals deliver the skill and meet the demands set by companies. Every company has their demands, their requests, their style, how they work. They have a set style, they have an IP that they care for like a baby, and everybody that comes in, new, experienced, not experienced, they have to, of course, abide to the rules, respect it, and the mutual care should start already there, right? We'll talk about it a little bit later. Fair trade of these two parties is only possible when the two parties have a professional, respectful mindset to each other, right? So again, you as a concept artist, you deliver a skill, the company demands it, they request it, and in return you get a recompensation, right? As a professional, so I think these things are all, again, applicable to, before I get between the differences between in-house or freelance. So be respectful. That comes down to good communication, good care, right? It is sometimes very difficult to phrase in a couple of words. However, I find that some artists have a little bit of a rockstar attitude sometimes. Please try to avoid it, of course. Companies might also do that sometimes, when they achieve something great, but again, I think it's not needed. It speaks for itself. Your work should speak for itself, whether you're a company with a good IP or an artist with an amazing portfolio. Under promise, always deliver on time as a professional. Maybe the normal phrase is under promise and over deliver, but maybe don't over deliver. Just under promise so that you can always deliver a little bit more. Set up your goal in head, for example, just examples may be better. Let's say you start out on a new assignment, they ask for 3 sketches, or you say to them that you'll have 3 sketches by Monday, and you start on Friday. But you deliver 4 and 5 that are still in good quality, they have more to pick from, more to talk about, and you're already in a better position, right? Meet the demands, of course, meet the deadlines, very important. Because the sooner you can deliver the work, the companies are able to run their business, all right? That's what it's all about. I hate to tell you, but sometimes they don't care, you know? If you're not on time, you're not on time. All the other people are waiting for you. Please remember that. Concept art is one of the first steps. Modelers, riggers, animators, environment artists, they have to carry on with what you deliver. Be social, be open-minded, communicative, right? Strong communication, very important. So again, maintain strong communication. And mutual understanding and care should always be a thing that comes down to respectful and all the other aspects that we've seen, right? Super thirsty. Okay. Also as a company, even though I don't own like a game company, I am in touch with a lot of companies. I've been in a position where I was talking with my art director how to handle other incoming artists. Again, as a company, you're respectful, just like a professional. Explain the project, set up a line of communication. Very important. Sometimes when I get an assignment, it's just random. Like, yeah, that person responsible for, you know, giving you the briefing. The other person will be responsible for the contract. The third person will be responsible for, you know, paying or stuff. And that is fine, you know, because everybody has their own responsibilities. But give it a smooth structure, because that will allow the artist to focus on what actually matters, which is getting your designs on time, or illustrations. Do not ask for free artists. That comes down to being respectful, care, and just knowing that businesses don't run like that, right? Asking stuff for free. Like, I understand it though, when a company has like a very high IP and they really want to make sure that the artist fits into the briefing, they can listen well. Sure, ask them for artists, but recompensate them, because the artist, as a professional as well, sees himself as, okay, I'm still infusing time into that project, time that I could or spend on my own project or for somebody that is willing to pay. Even though there is a counter-argument, because I've done free artists, I can tell you from my own experience that it never benefited me in any way. Sad story. So I am just letting you know that please avoid it. I know how it is, because you want to make it out there, you want to prove yourself to a company. But if the company is still asking for a free artist, direct them maybe to your portfolio, how you work, you can present them, everything. And you as a company, if you're still not sure that you still ask work for free for them, then maybe it's time to just maybe move on and find a better, suitable professional. Because in the end, you have to invoke a little bit of trust in each other, right? I think professionalism is all about that. I'm saying that because I find this point very important. It's almost like we are used to free artists, and I think work for free should not just be the standard. Pay on time, of course, but you know, mistakes happen. And again, that comes down to understanding and care, right? Paying on time, I think, is important. When a contract is set up, the artist delivers you the deliverables on time, and there is a contract that the recompensation should be paid on time, then please make sure to, of course, do it, because that solidifies the working relationship. The last thing you want is also, as a company, to you know, spend unnecessary energy for chasing down payments or bills. You know, just keep it as smooth as possible. Before you want to, so let's jump into, you know, in-house and freelance. Finally, let's see what time it is. All right, 15 minutes. Shit. All right. I think the most important thing is to ask yourself what kind of person you are, right? Asking yourself questions that comes back to, you know, when you're designing concepts. When I, for example, design a concept, for example, a vehicle, because I specialize in that, when I design a tank, even more specified, is I ask myself questions. What kind of faction does the tank belong to? What kind of culture does the faction has? How much time do they have to develop a good design? What is design all about? Is it about mass production or quality? What kind of mindset is behind there? And then the storytelling about the vehicle, how you're going to present it. Somewhere in mud, weathered down, or newly presented. All those questions are super important. You know, what kind of design language, what kind of technology level, right? That will enrich you to deliver more believable ideas. That is actually very important as a concept designer to, you know, when you're thinking about design. Anyway, I'm getting off track. How disciplined are you, right? When you think that you lack a little bit of discipline, like I did at the start, then in-house was the solution for me to start, because that will force you to wake up on time. Other people are waiting for you. They expect you to be on time, and you become, you have to rely on each other, basically. What's your most active time of day? For me, is night. I love nights. So again, that might be, you know, that's why I'm split in two parts. Me personally, I'm like 50-50. Right now I'm freelancing, but a good 50% of my career has been in-house. So yeah, very important, like when you wake up. Are you a morning person? Are you okay with getting up at 8, you know, showing up at work at 9 or 10, you know? And are you actually creative during those hours? What is your vision and your goals? A lot of people, they always speak about goals, but what is your end vision? Like how, in the end, sure, you know, concept art is maybe not like a rocket scientific job that you're saving lives. However, when there is no time of war and humankind has time for entertainment, games, films are now the solution. So ask yourself what kind of part you want to play yourself in as a concept designer, right? Clarifying your vision, working towards it a little bit every day will help you to get you where you are. Do you run in solitude as a lone wolf, or do you run rather with the wolf pack, right? And again, I'm talking here a little bit more from my own experience, and it's not only super applicable, right? It's not that when you are a freelancer that you're always lonely, right? That's not the case. Just the average. Same goes for running with the wolf pack, right? I guess it's guaranteed when you're working house. You're always with the team. You build up a family. You build up like this camaraderie, you know. I like that a lot myself, but it's always totally possible to do it as a freelancer, just not as easy. Does the working place affect you, right? Been talking to a lot of artists, and it affects them. Like they cannot imagine working from home, and if they become a freelancer, they have to have their own studio or their own working place where they still meet with other people, right? Do you mind doing your own administration? As a freelancer, I have to scare you a little bit that it's sometimes a pain in the ass. Doing your taxes on time, all the boring stuff. Having an accountant, because I suck personally at, you know, keeping a schedule of what has been paid, what I have to deduct, and maybe it also depends on what kind of country you live in. My company is registered in Holland, so they have to have everything like black and white, like everything needs to be super clear. Long-term projects or short-term projects. So usually, again, average, most of the time when you're working in-house, you will be hired to do something for a longer period of time. At least a year. At least 6 months maybe, all right. On average, at least a year. As a freelancer, you are most of the time sometimes even hired for 1 day or 2 days. Just, you know, a studio, like they are making trailers of visual effects. They just want to visualize you. Okay, we found your portfolio is exactly what we need for that specific time. We want you for 3 days, visualize as much as you can, boom, let's go, right? But again, that's, you know, talking average, because again, like my friend Darek, he recently had a project that lasted for more than a year, and he's only a freelancer. But, you know, it is, again, on average. Are you willing to relocate? And can I relocate, right? Very important in my opinion, you know, how does it affect you, another life in a different country, except when you're from the US, I guess, then you have plenty of options to pick from. I was born in Holland, not many studios, and all the studios that approached me and that I also wanted to work with, they were or in the UK, Germany. So you have to be willing, you know, having no kids, no wife yet was of course easier for me to relocate. So let's bust some myths, right? Something that I wanted to talk about, something that we think, you know, as a standard default, how the life looks like of an in-house artist versus how the life looks like of a freelancer. In-house, you're way more stable. I don't think so, really. Because the stability should come, I guess, from your own personality and from your own self-confidence, right? Respect, again, the company that you work for when you're in-house. Respect the people even more that you're close with. But don't think that's super stable. I moved in 2017, 16, to Germany, and it was like, you know, everything was nicely set up. It was like a contract for 1 year, and it was nicely set up. And you know, there was like, you know, the team was ambitious and hardworking, and I started like with a lot of enthusiasm, you know, because it was like a sci-fi project where we were working on. It was like an open world thing. It was very, very promising. But you know, boom, 3 weeks I worked there. Boom, they shut down the studio. It's gone. You know, and then you might think like, what about the communication? Could it like knew like earlier to warn me, like not to come, like, oh, sorry, mistake. No, it seems that, you know, a structure of a company is sometimes very more difficult than you think, right? So the studio that I joined was owned by another studio. So the mother studio, the mothership studio, I don't know, the main studio, right? Like EA Games and DICE, right? EA Games is then, I guess, the mother. And then DICE is then the son or daughter. Anyway, and they did not, that mother studio did not communicate to them that they should stop hiring people because they might probably close the studio, right? So this was not communicated at all. So they hired a bunch of people, including me. And then within 3 weeks, everything was gone, right? I have my insurance already in Germany, my house, so you know, be careful again. You know, this shit happens sometimes. In-house, you have always to work according to set hours. Not really. If you are, I guess most of us, you know, game industry is more chill about it. Again, it comes down to trust. Most companies just trust you. If you deliver good work, you have like a set of creative hours, and you are within the hours when the meetings happen. Then you can even start sometimes at 11 or 12. It's no problem. In-house, you have less freedom. Hold on. Yeah, well, again, not true. So maybe on average, maybe a little bit. Maybe you are a little bit more restricted, you know, to times, to what project you work on. You can not choose. However, it really, again, depends. Most of the time, my experience really depends, you know, how you are situated and how well you, again, you are social with the rest of the company, right? If you just, you know, talk out, open up your mind, and say, like, hey, I think that my talents or my skill can be, you know, used on a different sphere better, then you can totally do that, right? As a freelancer, I can work according to my own hours when I want. Yeah, not really, because again, sometimes you have a lot of contracts that will demand you to work or check in on certain hours, right? Sometimes they even ask you in what time to be available for potential talks, etc., etc. You need way more skill to be able to freelance. Totally not true. A lot of my favorite artists, they work in-house, right? That is again like a myth buster, like, oh, he's able to freelance, you must be good. I don't think that's right. I don't think that is, it's totally unrelated. It comes really down to who you are and what your way is. As a freelancer, you make way more money, maybe on paper, but taxes, oh fuck. Yeah, so of course we can talk about money, sure. I think a fair daily rate, even though I usually don't work daily rate, just like per project, but still based on a daily rate, I think anything from 500 a day is very fair and according to industry standards. And like in my case, sometimes more half of that needs to be paid as taxes anyway, right? So it's not true. You have to pay your accountant, you have to pay for your own laptop, software, etc., right? Where in the studio is kind of like, maybe you earn less on paper, but with all the benefits and, you know, a lot of things are provided for you. And think about it. Most of the time when you're working in-house, you spend their electricity bill, not your own. And that adds up when you're freelancing or when your computer is running 24/7, you know, when you're rendering and stuff. So, yeah. The real thing, so the real thing as what I think is, oh, time check, hold on guys. All right, 3 minutes. Okay.
20.
Yeah? 20. Okay. Oh, 20 in total, right? With questions, all right. Awesome. Well, if the crowd wishes to. So as a freelancer, you have to do your own administration most of the time. Even though I have an accountant, you still have to keep track of what you spend, what you do, keep a track of your hours in case, you know, the government wants to check you, you know, so play the fair game. I don't think you can benefit on it long term when you are, you know, not reporting everything or stuff, right? Just don't do it. In-house, you can focus more on actual work. For me personally, that has been the case. In-house is for me like, it is good, you work with a group of people, like, you know, Wolfpack, and you don't have to worry about all the above things, right? They do the taxes for you, so at the end of the month you get like a nice net pay, that's it, right? You don't have to worry about, okay, I earned this much, but how much goes now to the government, but okay, I also bought like a new laptop this month, and I have to like do like write-offs, and oh fuck, I made a mistake, now the government is on my ass, and now they're checking me, and it's like more stress. It's actually more stress. More stress equalizes to less productive work. So think about it. As a freelancer, you have the chance to build up a client list faster. Well, that is true, right? When you're hired for, you know, let's say, companies like Disney A for just a couple of days, right? It's still in your CV. You worked for them, right? Whereas you spent a year working for a company like last year I did, when I was on Hitman 2, it was like more than a year almost, right? However, you can show a whole world in return, right? That is sometimes also very attractive for art directors that look your stuff up, or producers or other clients, you know? So again, that comes down to my next point. In-house, you have the chance to build a whole world most of the time. Again, I know, again, you know, when I see the project that Darek, my friend, worked on recently, that was also a whole world, but it doesn't happen that often. Freelancers are most of the time, in my experience, picked for a specific role for a specific amount of days or maximum months, right? In-house, you are part of the Wolfpack, you have a better chance to make and develop friendships. On average, I think so, yes. You know, every time I talk to a friend, they get like a nice job, and they like it there, they stay there for a reason. Most of the time that reason is because they just enjoy to work with the people that are working, right? And it just makes your working place a better place to spend your time in. And in the end, you know, have to think about it. 1/3 of the day you spend is working on average, 8 hours at least, right, as a concept designer. As a freelancer, you learn additional skill to stand on your own. Maybe not art skill specifically, but like, you know, developing social skill, you know, to stand on your own, defend yourself in case something happens with the government, and you can track back. So you have to be kind of like more responsible, right? You can even develop accounting skills, who knows? And that might be your new passion. Happens. In-house, you learn additional skill on a government project is structured. So, yeah, you learn a lot on how a company works, how people work with each other when you are new, right? I think that is, again, super important for every concept designer to try freelance and in-house for that reason, right? You know who is responsible for what, and it's very, very much needed that you are aware of that, right? So even though you are a concept designer, and you're just like, oh, I'm a concept designer, I'm cool, you know, as long as I have cool images, I have to worry about nothing. However, you'll be respected, and people will like actually reach out to you faster if you know how it is to do environment art. Like you don't actually know, but you know what they get to go through. What an animator does, you know? What kind of game engines are now the most used? What kind of visual technology is now used, right? Like back when, for example, ambient occlusion was all fancy. As a concept artist, you can benefit from that, you know, and show that in your concepts, that you are aware of that and you are maybe exaggerating it in some of your designs so that you can inspire the rest of your team, right? So knowing these little things, raise up your awareness, you'll be able to adjust the work that you deliver to your clients better. So yeah. And again, you know, because I think the reason why I came to this presentation is, you know, what to pick, you know? And that comes down, in the end, let's be honest, how to secure the best future for myself, right? What is it? Is it an in-house job? Investing all my energy in a studio? Could be. Or is it freelance? Investing in myself? Could be too. However, these things you can do on the side, whether you are freelancing or in-housing. In-housing, whoa, new word? Okay. Keep growing, keep developing, do not stagnate, right? Very important, like a lot of people that, you know, already secure themselves, you know, everybody stagnates. Of course, you have an amount of energy in your life, but try to stay curious, all right? Try to, you know, ask yourself, what do I still want to achieve? You know, the world is really big. You can really explore and stay curious and grow further. You know, the last thing that you want is ask yourself in 20 years, what did I actually do, right? Ask yourself this each year, how many works did I produce? And it always will be the answer, I could have done better, right? So ask yourself that, how do you want to end up and how do you want to be remembered, right? Have or at least think about a plan B. I think that's very important, you know. Invest in yourself. I'm not talking purely about investing in, you know, land or stocks. You know, these are the things that we also, you know, worry about or like have maybe already some experience with, like cryptocurrency has been trendy as well, right? However, I think personally, the most important thing that you can do is investing in yourself, right? Invest in your health. Stay healthy, right? If you're healthy and you actually take care of yourself, you know, health-wise, you are the moneymaker and the securer, basically, right? Nothing can secure yourself better than that, right? Brush your teeth every day, because, you know, you don't want to spend, you know, a lot of money and stress and care about going to the dentist, going to pull up some teeth, or, you know, some bacteria develops in your wisdom tooth. You start to swallow that bacteria as it gets into your heart, and boom, heart disease. You know, you don't want that. So keep investing in yourself. It's maybe far-fetched, but it's life, right? Respect others, always, you know. Very important that you, you know, in the end, you know, we just make pretty pictures, that's it, right? And even if you are a doctor, you know, also I advise to always respect others, everyone. By default, always give them that chance, but also respect yourself, right? And that comes down to artists saying to, yes, I'll do an artist for free. To me, that just, you know, like, and again, as a company, how do you want to be remembered, you know? What's your first impression? Your first impression is that you're starting to ask for work for free? Like, come on, like, artists and companies can do more so that we can benefit from one another, right? Surround yourself with like-minded people, people that are positive, that support you in what you do, and you support them in return, of course. So, even though that you might have thought that, you know, I would be favoring one over the other, in-house or freelance, because it maybe looked like, you know, a war versus. I think when you are starting as a concept artist, you should try at least both, right? Freelance will learn you to maybe touch a lot of projects, different projects that you can test out what you like the most, right? And based on that, you'll be able to, you know, reach your vision, your goal much better. And in-house to, get in touch with people, get to know how it actually is, how much effort it actually takes to create a whole game. And right now, let's be honest, games right now are like entire worlds, right? Like there are companies out there that just make worlds. Being a part of that is something beautiful. That is my conclusion. I have been also like 50-50 all around the place. And other than that, I would like to thank you for coming. And if there are any questions, do we have time? Then, yeah. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Michał. So, do we have any questions? I hope we have. Come to the stage, please, please.
Please come. Don't be shy.
Yes, here.
I was nervous. It's not worth it.
We want to see who's asking, basically.
Yeah. No, of course.
Hi.
Hello.
Great speech. I would like to ask you, because now you were talking about, about the in-house versus the freelance. But what would you recommend for a person that's working now in-house with, let's say, that person has no, like, as you had, client list? What would you recommend for them from going from in-house to freelance? Like, what do they have to watch out for? Because it's really hard to start if you don't have any clients.
Yeah, well, ask yourself again. Like, it always like comes down to, asking yourself the question, I think. It's like, why would you want to go from in-house to freelance?
Well, okay, in my personal case, because the contract will expire. Because I've been hired now for a project, and when the project is essentially wrapped up, I don't have any work, so I'll be forced to freelance.
And during the contract, you were not doing anything to secure yourself in the future? Like I was talking about plan B?
I was thinking of doing, because in my country, we have the option of when you are fully employed, that you can also do partial freelancing. To also start doing that, let's say 6 months before my contract expires. So at least then I'll have some contracts and some networking and some people to connect and ask them, is there any work available? Do you need the CGI artist, in a sense? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, again, I think it's the obvious, right?
Yeah.
Go out there, show your work. Maybe, approach the companies that you would like to work again for. And again, a good idea is to still create the need for your current company that there might be a future opportunity to work again, right? I think that's the best approach. But other than that, next time when you secure yourself a job, do also think, like work on keep growing and develop your skill on the side, right? At least maybe 2-3 hours per day, or maybe even 1 hour per day, right?
Yeah.
Depending how your schedule looks like.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you too.
Thanks for the talk.
Thank you too.
It's more of a comment, not a question, but I would like to hear your opinion on this.
Oh, thank you.
I'm talking from a perspective of game producer, so I've been working both with artists.
You're a game producer?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Both in-house and freelance. And it seems like the matter of choice, why people go for freelance or in-house, is often in the personality and like in the goals that people perceive. And sometimes the freelance is more on focusing on personal brand and develop and like showing that you're out there to the market. Because when people work in-house, they are more like behind the brand of the company, behind the umbrella. And seems like the people have in-house, they have less contact with the client, like the final client. So when someone is freelancing, then they have more contact, more loop on this. And
I think you are right. Yeah, I think you are right. However, I think that artists should always have the same attitude. In the end, you're providing ideas. Stay humble, stay social. When you're freelancing, again, like, yes, it's about, you have to market yourself, sure, but don't make it only about yourself. In the end, a concept artist on his own only makes pretty pictures. That's it, right?
Okay. The other thing is that from perspective of organization of the company, when you try to have like a good process, good flow for the artist, I think it's important to let them have the contact with everyone else who's like consuming the art.
When you're a freelancer, you mean, right?
No, like both.
Both,
roles,
yes.
actually.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned the communication is super strong. So even if you work in-house, you're as a company hire somebody in-house or freelance, introduce them to a structured line of communication, make them aware to what rules they have to abide to maintain that communication, and you as an artist should do everything to deliver that communication. Communication is super important, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome, happy we agree.
Hello, thank you for your talk.
Hello, thank you too.
I have a question. Do you have any tips how to be social? How to do it? Because I'm shy and really...
You came out on the stage,
yes,
you're not that shy.
It scares me like a shit,
Yeah.
but still I managed to do it. And how to do it more often and not to have shaking legs like I'm having right now.
Oh, I had shaky legs, but it was because of my heavy diarrhea today. But
Too
it's
bad,
so
I'm
different
so
reason.
sorry.
And maybe the heavy diarrhea was caused by that I was nervous. I don't know. I thought I would not be, but I still was. There'll always be some degree of nervousness, you know. Even though that I work in front of a class, the classes are usually way smaller, and I know the people faster. Here is like a new crowd, new people, so there is always, you know, it's always sometimes difficult to, you know, break the ice. But how to be social? I mean, you have friends, right? You seem like a friendly girl. You have friends. No, you don't have friends?
No, I'm not
Start
friendly.
high-fiving people on the street, maybe. Or, you know. No, just maybe, again, care for, you know, the people who are your friends, but don't care what people think about you when you approach them, right? You look like a normal, good human being. You're clean. There's nothing to be afraid of, shy of, okay? Trust me, really. Right,
But
guys?
no magic tricks.
Yeah, so don't worry, really.
Thank you.
Of course.
Any other questions? Right, so maybe I will have one question. What about the school?
Oh, wow, thank you, yeah. So the school, guys, is... yeah, what about it? Yeah, we can offer concept art courses for the entertainment industry. Darek and me started the school last year in April. We launched our first semester in June. We right now have wrapped up our third term. Fall registration is now open, and we really teach, again, what we wanted to be taught when we were starting out and having a hard time, right? So there was this famous general. I always forget his name. But he said, it is good to learn on your own mistakes, but it is even better to learn from others' mistakes, right? So we not only cover the knowledge and what is necessary, the fundamentals, the fancy, trendy skills that are now, you know, asked and demanded industry, but also, you know, how to avoid mistakes that we did, you know, and to reach faster to your goals. So, yeah, that's what we do. And very compressed, right? It's 6 to 8 weeks. We cover a lot. So if you sign up, prepare to work your ass off hard. Yes, so.
And what is the name of the school?
Focal Point School.
Focal Point.
I didn't mention that? Shit. See, that's my marketing skills right there. Yeah, so, yeah.
Maybe Konrad made you very scary about it, you know.
Sorry?
Maybe Konrad made you very scary about not mentioning.
No, I was just joking. I was joking. It was, yeah. No, it was, no. No, I was joking, really. Sorry if it came across as serious.
No.
Sorry.
At the end, everybody knows how your school is named. Yeah. So,
yeah, thank you.
So
thank you for
it
asking.
was Michał Kus. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you. Thank you again.